yo, what's up? This is Roy. Going live, man. Gonna start going live more often. You all join me here for these lives. Let's get it going. Crazy times. Ice running wild in the streets. Feel like we living in the Hunger Games. People passports are getting reported stolen, all kind of stuff going on. Big question, something I think is calculated. I believe they're trying to ratchet it up, cause more issues. They want to push to the insurrection act where they can put these troops on the street. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. And what's really wild, because we all watch so much different media now. Everybody watching their own media. Like the people who against it watch their own media. The people who feel like it's working for them, it's doing what they really want to see happen. They watching their own media too. So we all get fed a certain narrative, even though I'm of the party who believe, hey man, I believe what they doing, what they doing. Like I see what they doing with black people. I see they trying to eat racist, knock us off. They are scared of these birth rates. These people are nativists or whatever you call them. Like they value the white psychology that they've been brought up and bred to believe. They do not want a meritocracy. They want to be dominant over other people or the minority groups in their country. They want this country, they want America to stay predominantly white. That's what's going on at its core, right? And they want these women back in place of what they feel like is back in their place, man. Wow, we're wow. I don't know how white women are here riding with this. They're gonna have you stuck in the house. Y'all didn't watch The Handmaid's Tale? Crazy work. I have to start watching it because it's so depressing. But it's like they trying to get us to The Handmaid's Tale, y'all. Crazy. Insane. Deranged. What's really wild about this time, too, is that in the black world, we don't really have leadership, not like we had in the past. When I was just a little peanut, right? You had black figureheads out here who kind of led the charge. And I was telling my bro, I was like, look, man, that's needed because most people aren't constituted to lead, but people are like, you want to understand the psychology of people. Just look at dogs, their packs. It's a similar psychology. People running packs. And most people need some type of leader to follow to essentially put the key in their back. They want to go. They already want to walk down the road, but they need somebody to motivate them to walk down the road with them, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. This is just the nature of men. This is how people operate. That's why people elect leaders that feel comfortable for whatever reason with having somebody, quote unquote, in charge, right? And we just don't have that right now. And historically, in this country, it's always been black people. And I think that's why the Latinos out here are upset about black people. They know historically in this country, at times like these, it's always black people who come out and rally against the machine because we so used to having it run against us, right? The authoritative machine. We so used to battling these things just from growing up in the United States, that it's second nature to us, right? But now what's happening is that this group of people have gone so far, they finna strip everybody of their rights. Hey, like, hey, you poor white man, you average white, you're not gonna have any rights either. Right? Like, we're used to already operating, understanding like that these laws ain't really meant for us. Like, they don't really work the same for us, right? Like, I feel bad for old buddy who just got knocked off in Minneapolis just for having just for exercising his right. Right, he legally had a firearm on him. He didn't pull a gun on nobody, and they just did him. They just did him in straight up unalive, that brother. But what I know is, as a black person, we already know what to expect in that situation. Like, we're not even going to that situation unless a black person who goes into that situation armed like that, he already know what come with it. Like, this white dude didn't understand what came with it because they're not accustomed to seeing this, right? Like, we're accustomed to seeing this. And I think that's really another reason why you don't see a lot of black people out here protesting, right? Not in the streets, because we already understand they'll gun us down. We could have been running up on the Capitol in January 6th. We all know that they'd have been bullets flying, right? Like, but so we already understand and see the nature of this group that, like, hey man, the people who caused this have to atone for it, because everybody knows where we stand already. We've said it a million times. Nobody wants to ride with us because we've been demonized across the globe by a psychology of a group of people. Crazy work. Crazy. All right, let's go, man. Like, I like this. I saw this speech from Roland Martin on MLK Day in Dallas, my area, the metro. Man, he had some good. Let's get into what Roland had to say. I feel like he's been trying to say it for some years too, but like, man, I don't know. A lot of us sleepwalking, people ain't even really paying attention.
Officials who are scared to stand up to abuses of power, to corrupt leaders, because they are afraid of money being canceled. You got somebody named Tina Peters who was sentenced and sent to prison for voter fraud, and they've been trying to get her out, and now you got a Democratic governor who possibly is going to pardon her because he can't stand the heat. You cannot fight fascism when you have weak folks in political office who have no guts and courage. You're dealing right now in this state. I'm born here. My parents are born in this state. My grandparents came from Opelousas, Louisiana. And then you have governor and a lieutenant governor and an out-of-control legislature that's passing laws that are so nonsensical that they make, of course, the Congress during Jim Crow days look like children. They're attacking.
Yeah, man. In great state of Texas, man, they wilding it out. They didn't roll back all that EEOC legislation. You have nobody to complain to. These people do you dirty on the job, man. You gotta take it. Sure, they say it's not happening. They don't care. Texas is a wild place, man. Wild place.
Public universities are preventing professors from teaching what is right and what is proper. All these things are happening, and I'm stunned when I'm watching folks who are silent, who are saying...
Yeah, I think Roland Martin lives in D.C. now, where his show is at, but he's from Houston.
And nothing, even when they are graduates of the institution. I had a professor from Texas A&M on the show the other day, and Me and my fellow Aggies are happy and excited about our football team, and I make it perfectly clear. I don't want to hear Greg Abbott or Dan Patrick or any other Republican talk about DEI because they don't mind DEI Saturdays.
Love DEI Saturdays, right? Love it. Love to see these black bucks running around toting this rock, representing their schools, their organizations, making their money, filling up these stadiums, right? Love it, man. Right. Get it right. All these little young brothers need to start going to HBCUs. I mean, if they're going to try to push it back. Fuck it. That's how these Negro leagues, right? I mean, we know who they're going to go see. We know who the people are going to go watch. If you want to see the best, you want to see the best of the best. But see, that's what happens with a meritocracy, right? You really get to see. That's the only time it exists in America is in sports. And you get to see, just based on who's the best, the cream rises to the top, right? Unfortunately, that's the only place in America where it exists. And it took a long time for that to even happen. All right. When I was a little boy, I can still remember when they were trying to say, black quarterbacks, black people didn't have the mental intelligence to play quarterback. Are you for real? A stanky ass football game? Are you for real? Man, make it make sense, man. Woo. Man, I lost my fucking cursor. Where's my cursor? Make it make sense.
What we are dealing with are folks who literally, if you step back and realize what's going on, are trying to attack the entire infrastructure of Black America. Shortly after they took over, Cancer Alley in Louisiana, largely African Americans, suing the petrochemical companies. This administration pulled back from that lawsuit, calling it DEI. Black people, Lowndes County, Alabama, sewage backing up into their houses, into their backyards, because they did not have proper soup pipes put in the last 30 years. The Biden-Harris administration brokered a settlement. This administration.
And Roland Martin went to one of the most racist schools ever, Texas A&M University. Look it up. Google Texas A&M University. They ain't a lot of girls in there until maybe 100 years ago. It was. I mean, they don't give a damn. Like they super Peckerwoods. True story. One of my bros went to A&M, right? So we used to go out there and kick it with them, go to the little parties, whatever. And I was in school in Austin. So we go out there, we kicking it. This is when they still had the bonfire. Let's show you how far back this go. They still had the bonfires, right? Man, we just walking, toward like away from the fire, toward by the fire. White boy run up and with his group of friends, near. So just out the blue, man, we're not talking to these people. We're just walking by. His two buddies was holding him. Oh man, he's drunk. He's drunk, man. He's drunk. We're sorry. You know what I mean? But listen, that's what happens. When people got the alcohol in them, they get super honest, right? You get to really see who they are. You see what they're really willing to do, right? Shit was just out the blue, man. Just stunned. We were kind of shocked. Not shocked that we haven't experienced racism. We're like, damn, we had no even interaction with these dudes, right? About to get down on his ass, but his friends were like, "Hey guys, we're sorry." Man, so we just left and went to the party, right? But man, Roland went to one of the most racist colleges in America.
overturn that settlement. You've got billions of grants being cut when it comes to health, mental health, black maternal health, all of these different things. And too many of us are being silent as it's happening. Too many of us are saying, well, no, I don't want to say nothing because they might come after me. Well, guess what? They might come after you anyway. So at some point,
yeah, they coming already. It's here. We got to adjust, adapt, and survive. I see them girls say, hey, you either need to stand up and struggle against or just leave. One or the other. She was like, it's basically, it's fight or flight mode. It's no longer we can just do nothing.
I'd appreciate if you stand up and show some courage. Because, see, we can't sit here at an MLK event and watch what is happening and say we love and appreciate him if you are unwilling to do what he would do. Listen, I know it's going to be all around the country on Monday. They're going to have these day of service events. And let me be perfectly clear. Ain't nobody got a picture or a photo of Dr. King at a shelter passing out food doing stuff. If King was alive and he would have turned 97 on Thursday, I can guarantee you Monday would not be a day of service. It will be a day of protest. I can tell you he will be challenging ICE, challenging Border Patrol. He'll be challenging HUD, challenging Commerce Department, challenging DOJ. So don't tell me you love and appreciate the work of Dr. King if you are unwilling to actually do his work in 2026.
Man, Roland need to run for office, man. I'll vote for Roland. Get your ass up there, Roland. I see you speaking it, bro.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
If you're going to have a slogan with awake in it, that requires you to actually be awake. But see, I don't want you just to be awake. I need you to have a plan of action after you've woken up. Because what we have to recognize is this nation will not go back to what it used to be. And I've been talking about this since 2009. I was at CNN in 2009 and John Avlon was down in Congress for going on the air.
That's a fact. I totally agree with Roland on this. It ain't going back to 2005, 2015, when you felt this progressive wave. That's over with. These white folks, a lot of people out here, a lot of these white folks out here want this to happen. Like what we're seeing right now is what they want to see happen.
And we were off air, and I said, John, you know, we are living in the beginning stages of white minority resistance. And he said, Roland, what are you talking about? He said, white Americans, the majority of this country. I said, no, John, it's about to happen. And that's the basis of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. And see, you have to understand.
That's a good promo drop. Go cop the book. See how he wove that in his speech? Hey, promo. Because you know what? We need money to have a voice. So go get his book. Right? Because all this, that's what we got to understand, right? We got to move as a monolith. We got to put our money together and all work towards a common means like some of these other groups of people. And for him to speak, he needs to be able to fund his speaking time, right? So you got to promote a book. Let's go.
Why I was framing that way, that was a study that was done. A poll that was done shortly was around the inauguration, 2009. And the question was asked, are you optimistic about the future of America for your children? Black folks, more than the majority said yes. Latinos, more than the majority said yes. Asian Americans, more than the majority said yes. White Americans, less than the majority.
Woo.
And I saw that, and I began to look deeper. And see, part of the issue is too many of us, we ain't deeper than mustard on a hot dog. We see that and keep moving. You fast forward 7 years, 2007, 2016, another survey was done. The question was asked, are you optimistic about the future of America economically for the next 10 years? Black people, lowest wealth, highest optimism. Latinos, second lowest wealth, second highest optimism. White America's highest wealth, lowest optimism.
See, we believe in America. We believe in the concept and hope that it could be that one day. This other group of people, they want supremacy.
When you read that, saying, hold up, how can, on average, white Americans have more than any other than African American Latinos, but you're the lowest optimism? Because they were seeing what was happening before our very eyes. That we were moving to a nation where you would have more people of color making a majority of this country than white Americans. See, there's no coincidence if you look at Twitter and Elon Musk is constantly tweeting about fertility rates.
Weird ass.
See, some of y'all are like, well, why does he keep focusing on fertility rates? Well, because around 2010, there were 10 states where the average white death rate was higher than the average white birth rate. Now you understand why they are attacking undocumented workers the way they are. This is about maintaining whiteness. Y'all, it's sitting before our very eyes.
That's all it is.
Okay, some of y'all, no, we ain't gonna clap on that. Some of y'all, I don't know about that. Okay, no.
That's all it is.
That's fine. Because you about to get also a history lesson.
Give them a history lesson, Roland.
Why are they complaining about immigration in Europe?
Same thing.
Ireland, Germany, Italy, England, all European countries. Why all of a sudden do you see a rise in far right in Europe? Because it's the exact same thing happening here. Well, look at the birth rates. The reason Germany's economy has been stable for the last 20 years is because of immigration. Okay, anybody here, if you understand money, you cannot maintain a nation's gross domestic product, your GDP, in the next 20 years if you don't have people. Fewer people, lower GDP. More people, higher GDP. Okay, ask China. More than 30 years, Mayor, you were trade ambassador. Remember when China had that one-child rule? Now, this shows you some smart folks in China. They were not this smart. They had a one-drop rule and a one-child rule. You're going to have one kid. They said we got too many people. They didn't do the actuary charts. Because 30 years later, they said, oh, damn, we do not have enough people. They changed.
They do not have enough young people to push the economy. Everybody's old. They miscalculated. That's why they switched it. That's why maybe like last year or a year and a half ago, some of these Asian countries trying to get black people to move out there to have babies. You think about immigrants in America, they stimulate the economy because they don't get the same social services that we have as Americans, but they pay money into the economy. So it's like it's almost a win-win for the country, right? Because you don't owe them anything because they immigrants and they just add money. Whatever they get is just, a little extra whatever, but you don't really owe them anything because they're not citizens. So they don't get no Social Security. So any money they add is just extra money. It's just money to the pot. Because they paying taxes on everything. Like everybody else pay taxes.
They changed the law. They said, hold up, we need y'all to have at least two. Because you could not replace the folks who were passing away. There was a point 15, 20 years ago, America was freaking out. Oh my God, China's going to surpass us as the world's largest economy. And Americans were going crazy. Today, America, $30 trillion GDP. China, $19 trillion GDP. So what I'm saying to you is, what you're seeing right now is a massive white backlash because folk want to maintain power and control. You see the attacks on affirmative action in colleges. You see the attacks on contracts. Donald Trump has literally said to a federal judge, his administration, they want to get rid of the federal DBE program, $700 billion in contracts that go to individuals in this country. $37 billion of that money actually is the DBE portion, and they say, okay, that's too much going to those folks. Now, first of all, black folks only getting $10 billion of the money.
Yeah, that's straight up going to Texas. You better sign up, get a DBE status. Like I got a homeboy. He's been working for this company for a long time now, but basically he's a fourth partner. It's like he's a fourth partner, right? But they had put him on as a partnership because they invest in commercial real estate. They'll go out and buy these apartment buildings, and they'll rehab them. Well, you used to get an extra bonus point for being, DBE status. So they brought him on so they could basically get that status, right? Because they got to bid on these projects when these things go up. A lot of people bid on these apartments to be sold by the state, right? Or whoever. Anyway, he told me the story. I was like, damn. So, I mean, that's really how he got on, because they needed him for the status. But, he been with them like 10 years now. So it's like, and he ain't accountant. So he been with them like 10, 15 years. So they good. But, shit, they don't even exist anymore in Texas, man. You can't even get no DBE status.
And which is 2% of the whole total. But the point there is, folk are fearful of what's happening. And so the anti-DEI attacks are going on. Because in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, they saw this transition happen before our very eyes. The BLM protest, you may not realize, was the first time in American history a black-centered movement had ever garnered a majority of American support for it.
That's what scared them. They see their white kids growing up want to be Steph Curry, want to be Patrick Mahomes, looking like they see these kids imitating our culture. They don't like the acceptance. You got to think who's running this country are old white men. They don't like the combining of cultures.
And there were forces in America said, no, we can't have that. And so 2021, we got attacked BLM. 2022 is critical race theory. And let me tell you how crazy that was. I have worked at 13 different black-owned media companies. You do not get blacker than me. I had never in my life heard of CRT. So I know none of y'all heard of CRT unless you went to law school. But Christopher Rufo, Manhattan Institute, said if we can group everything racial under one umbrella, then we can attack it. CRT in 2022. They attacked woke in 2023. They attacked DEI in 2024. So the whole focus is, how can we now slow this down and begin to hold on to power as much as we can? You got a Supreme Court case that's going to be decided very soon called Louisiana versus Cali. Now, here's what's crazy. They beat them in the courts, took it to the Supreme Court, went back to Supreme Court, still won. Then Louisiana said, well, let's come up with another way. So let's actually sue. Let's sue the black districts, saying that this discriminates against these two whites who are living in the district. Now, they never established how they were hurt and harmed by having a second black district when Louisiana is 1/3 black. Now, here's what's crazy. Based upon the questions, they are likely going to vote in their favor. You are going to see 1/3 of the Congressional Black Caucus disappear. You're going to see state reps, state senators, county commissioners, city council members, school board members all across the South wiped out because of this one Supreme Court decision. If you literally look at what's happening right now with the Supreme Court today, you can compare it to the Supreme Court in the late 1800s. If you look at the actions in Congress, you can compare it then to what is happening now. And so if you now completely undermine the entire civil rights and economic rights infrastructure, then you then are defunding Black America. And that is what is happening before our very eyes. And so in 2026, this cannot be the usual MLK program. This can't be the usual MLK weekend. This can't be the usual time, because what we are facing right now are evil forces who are attacking every single system that exists. And let me also be perfectly clear, when they attacking what's happening with black folks. When you hear them talk about affirmative action, I often have to remind them that there's no group in America who's benefited more than affirmative action than white women. And let me be real clear. I've read Project 2025, and I've said to many of my white sisters, you know they won't want you to stay at home, birth babies, not work, and get in the kitchen. I said, so trust me, when they're coming after us, they're coming after you too. We have to understand that this is not a drill.
Yeah, it's real in the field. Super real right now. Super real. We under attack, black people. And I hope a lot of us don't get caught up with just watching all the stuff that's on TV and not realizing they are attacking us with this paperwork, with these politics. They are trying to defund us as a people because they can't kick us out. They want to have us under the boot shoe. Crazy times. But I think maybe now some of us are waking up. Is it too late? Who knows, man? Does it need to happen? Did this need to happen for America to wake up, for them to take off the mask? I think maybe it needed to happen. So these white folks, these Latinos who thought it was all good, that we just making this shit up, that it's a group of terrorists amongst us, right? They terrorizing us with policy. They want you to stay broke. They don't care about your life. It's real. There's no fairness in the system. It's real. It was real all along. Yeah, but Roland was on point. But like I said, it's two sides. It's a side who wants equality, fairness, things that you think of just being natural, a natural acceptance, especially with all these so-called Christians in this country, right? That they want a good, fair society. It's just not true. It's just not true. Check this article I saw. Sad what happened to this guy. Got his life ended for nothing. But you got people like this. People like this. Voice of Vikings. Minnesota Vikings facing calls to resign after Minneapolis ICE protest comment. Right? So he's there. He lives there. He's watching all this stuff happen, right? Let's get into it. The play-by-play voice for the Minnesota Vikings for 24 years, Paul Allen, is facing calls to resign after a comment made about the ongoing ICE operations and the corresponding protests in the Twin Cities. According to numerous accounts on social media, Allen posited that protesters are being paid for their opposition against ICE presence in Minnesota, a conspiracy in the right-wing spaces. Thousands of protesters have come out in frigid temperatures in action against the immigration enforcement operations happening around the state. He said these people are getting paid. Demonstrations have grown in the aftermath of Renee Good's death during an operation on January 7th. On Friday, January 23rd, Allen hand-waved the protesters are paid, according to a Redditor on our Minnesota Vikings subreddit. Allen Station, K Fan FM 100.3, scrubbed the post-release podcast of the on-air comment, according to the Redditor. A second ICE shooting occurred Saturday morning after Allen's alleged comment, sparking more civil unrest. Hundreds of listeners have corroborated a similar message on social media. Another Redditor on our Minnesota shared a screenshot from the studio's text line. It shows producer Eric Nordquist saying, yes, he referenced that some of the protesters are paid. Awful announcing found the audio for the live broadcast, which revealed Allen speaking about the weather and asking do paid protesters get hazard pay. Ha! He's making it funny. The station did not answer a phone call from Heavy for comment about the incident. Fans on various social media platforms have called for Allen to resign from his position. So Buddy makes this joke. Like this is after somebody got murked. These are those groups of white people who are indifferent to anything that doesn't affect them, right? They do not give a fuck, right? They don't give a damn. Like, he don't give a damn. It's funny. I can make a joke out of this shit, right? Well, when you might look at it like you watching terror on the streets, he can make a joke. Okay. In several areas of social media, fans voiced their displeasure with Allen's commentary amid the turbulent times in the Twin Cities. The moderators opened a thread to discuss the matter after removing several posts that violated the subreddit's rule against political commentary. Blah, blah, blah. Let's keep going. What's insane is how easy it would be for a PA that's him to just not say anything. Just don't say nothing about it. One commenter read, compare that to Alan Page, who was out protesting while looking like a regular person. Meanwhile, PA has to take an opportunity to use his reach to disparage his fellow Minnesotans and push a conspiracy theory. If Paul wants to believe that shit, that's his right. But this is a huge overstep. Somebody else. Was that guy shot 10 minutes ago outside the donut store paid agitator? Another commenter pleaded, referring to the Saturday shooting. PA needs to resign or apologize. PA is proud of his Christian faith, but he says he's completely clueless about how Christians should act during these times like this. Yeah, but he's Christians, man. Don't give a damn. All right, he responded on X. Yeah, okay. I have to stop watching all of this for a little bit. I'm so sad this terror is happening all around us in Minnesota. I just prayed to God's will for it to somehow stop, and started crying. Alan wrote, I truly am sorry for all hurting like me through this. Oh, it's about you, huh? And I just want us to be a love covenant again. Truly, let's all pray this stops somehow because it's awful. And no more cheap one-liners from me. Fans were overwhelmingly not accepting of the apology. Resign, Paul. Minnesota does not want to hear from you ever again. One fan responded. Was Alan DePay protesting Paul? Damn. Paul, I think you have been on the wrong side of the issue, and I don't mean political sides. More like what Jesus would be actually saying during a time like this. But you probably hearing that nonsense in and around church. Hope you figure it out, man. Paul, I've been a fan of yours for decades. You really disappointed me. Another fan wrote. But look, you read these comments. Melvin, peaceful protesters do not show up with a loaded weapon and 2 extra rounds. I thought it was a right to carry. If you legal, you can either have a gun or you can't. It's either legal or it's not illegal, man. He didn't whip out his gun on nobody. My God, keep your mouth shut, Paul. Do football and only football, please. That was somebody who was down with like, hey, Paul, shut up. So he can't have an opinion when leftist celebrities spew their nonsense. They're embraced by unhinged media. Many of them are protesters, apparently, particularly the violent ones who come out later in the evening. Good for him. And F the wine is crying about the man having a personal opinion. If it doesn't align with their twisted agenda, they have no tolerance. Go ICE. Wow. first and foremost, many of the protesters are in fact paid, so you can stop with that they're not paid BS. Aren't those of you calling for his job saying your opinion in what PA said? Explain to me the difference. You're out in the public voicing your opinions. Go ahead, I'll wait. In fact, because you, Mr. Protester, are out in public voicing your opinions. So effectively hand in your resignations at your place. Yeah, stupid. They're not publicly speaking at their place of employment, dumbass. This is a public figure working a football game. Oh, this guy kind of said it. Regarding PA's comments, you are a public facing job. Stop with the political comments. What do you expect? Yeah, like, bro, get the fuck out of here. But anyway, as you can see, still a lot of people out here who support this nonsense, right? So it's different sides of America, but I mean, the bad guys won. They in office. They gave them the office. A lot of people who get deported put these people in office, right? And as Black America, we gotta survive, figure out how to thrive, move as a monolith. My nose is stopped up. It's freezing cold out here. Snow on the ground. Can't go anywhere. Man, like, subscribe, help us grow. Get our first 1,000 subs. Yeah.